happen, what do you think will occur? Then definitely lots of things will happen. The people will not be able to plan ahead. If I a well structure, as long as the prior information that will give you enough ample time to prepare themselves, and then effect, then that gap is not achieved, which means there is a gap in that aspect.
So now when floods happen, now let's get what are the best communication channels now? So which communication channels have proven to be the most effective during floods in Nigeria now? And I'm bringing it back home here in Kaduna.
Yeah. So far, the best communication channel we have, like I said, we have to start from the structures itself.
Okay, so can we go through the structures?
The structures, you see, we have the family structures.
Okay.
You have the community structures, because even in family structure, there is always a team lead, and there is an assistant. Once the team lead and assistant is not there, then you can now fill in the blank with the third in command. That's what we normally call them.
Okay.
Now, you have the family structure, you have the community structure, you have the local government structure, you have zonal structure, you have state structure, and then you have the national structure and the international structure. Structure have their own means of communication channel. What is best, that works best for them. Like what work in community A not be okay for what work in community B. But so analysis, one of the best communication structure that we can identify is one. Is one structure. Mobile phones, yes.
Okay.
The second is social media. Now, the structure is a system. It can either make you or mar you. What I'm talking about, it can make someone and it can destroy someone's reputation before. And in another, also help education to work very effective, and it can also help in destroying lives and complicating issues. So that's the reason why when you initially talked about the introduction, talking about the clear of the information, the structure of the information, and getting the access to that particular information is very, very important. So as at family level, mobile phone is very, very important. Now, on community level, which can also be very, very effective for them, is the community gong.
Okay.
Like
that's mostly in the rural area.
In the rural area, yes. So they normally use gong, and sometimes you see they normally use. They hang it very.
I think it's gotten from an abandoned truck.
Yes, yes. So they're very effective.
Okay.
So through the mobile phone, they use that particular bell as which to signal community people that something is happening. So these are the most effective so far known: the social media and mobile calls.
Yeah, but sometimes even the social media, you find out that when you get to see some kind of information on social media, and you later discover it's not true.
It's false. Yes.
So now, how can people now differentiate between the reality and that of the social media?
Thank you very much. You see, even AI has even complicated issues.
Well, we've been talking about it behind closed doors with some of my colleagues, and
it's not helping matter. Someone will just cook up a story, and in our
sometimes
it's believable. Especially in the rural area, they don't have the kind of, they are not exposed or have the knowledge that we have. Like me, I can see an image, and to an extent, I can identify. Okay, this is 80% AI. If you are not very, very careful, maybe by the time you now go through the uniform, that is why you now know, okay, no, this is false, because the uniform are not identical, and other key elements I don't want to say. So if you AI that is looking at.
So now how can the training for the people to differentiate between what is true and what is not?
Good. Understand your source.
Okay.
Now get source, because you see on social media that you confirm.
Well, for those who are in the urban cities, can actually identify because they're enlightened.
Yes.
But how can you now take this consciousness now to the person who has no idea about social media?
Thank you very much. You see, that's the reason why it's very, very good. Consistent community awareness, like what here now, what is one of the most effective way to make people understand. Look, this actually false, so you have to be very, very careful. Now, the other way to know that okay, this one is false and the rest. If you know of a particular media, whereby you know that most information you're getting there are not new, then you blacklist that particular media. So any information that coming from that media, know this one is false. And
But is there something that one can do checks and balance and compare?
yes.
Okay.
There are so many ways you can do checks and balance. In fact, I'm saying the source. You see, from the source, let me say I'm in Facebook now. If I see a media, if I see an image, I can click on that particular image. It always have a registered address show particular information. If I have that registered address, if I click on that registered address, it will take me to that particular address again. From another way, the address is still there. You can always open it. It will take you back onto you
the main source.
To the main source. So identifying things like this, and if you discover that most of these people they're right, you should just list those particular lists. Security intelligence should also come in. All this cyber fraud, among other, they should do something about it because it's destroying lives. I don't want to start bringing up stories that are even complicated some community activities here. Now, that is one way to identify the source. Second is for you to identify if a source of information is wrong is through verification. And information is more inclined to knowing these things. Like for we now, we have a platform. Okay. There is the DMP or the Christian Aid. There is a state we have. Any information we get, we can always share it on that platform. So information is false. Can always see that no, this information can always flag it. This information is false. And we now retrieve that information and then send false. Send for people to understand, because even myself I've done such countless of time, so that before fall into the wrong hands.
Okay, so because when you mentioned radio, because which we are on radio, we're live now.
Yes.
So how important is radio in reaching remote or maybe underserved communities now?
If I say 100%, I'm underestimating it. So,
yeah.
With do you get it? Yeah. Now, if we are giving information about climate change, weather past, among others, where this community will get most of this information
is through the.
That is the one I mentioned earlier on. Through and what? Social media, because it's always on social media and always can call someone and deliver information. Now, but on a whole scale, on a whole level. So I will also urge, like the regulation. Okay, there are certain information that flies, even some TV and radios, and we end up sending that information and later discover that you sending it, they are not carrying the real message. If red and black, say red and black, don't sugarcoat it. Because why? If I'm informed, I know that okay, this is what is happening. Then I'm able to what? Prepare for the worst, and then take out the mitigation process, and then protect myself and my family. But it will not look as if okay, no, happening. No, that one, it doesn't make sense.
Okay. So now, mobile alerts or SMS systems, is it very reliable? Is it reliable enough for early warnings? Maybe just send a text message that okay, something is happening. Is it more reliable?
Is reliable but it also depends on the timing.
Yeah, because sometimes. So what if network fails and you cannot send?
Yes, that's why I'm saying. I say depend on the timing.
Okay.
Like let's say something is going to happen within 3 hours, or let me say 4 hours, or let me say within 24 hours. If I get mobile, I can be able to prepare. But if it's not, it's going to work. So time.
It's faster.
Do you get it? That one is faster. Apart individual, 1 or 2 persons. So if information get to a particular system, you have to now send it, broadcast it wider. I think it's better that way.
All right, it's still the program Flood Echoes, brought to you by Christian Aid Nigeria, ECHO, and UNICEF. And my guest this afternoon is SUFIYAN AHMED, a disaster management officer with the Nigerian Red Cross Kaduna State Branch. And we're examining the suitable means of communication of flooding in times of flooding. And he has said that radio is more than 100% effective, because radio cuts across. You get legit information. Social media, you get good information too, but sometimes majority with the influx of AI now, one needs to be very careful how they transmit messages. So now let's come back to some of the community-based communications. You mentioned town criers earlier.
Yes.
That's in the most remote areas where
Yes.
there's no internet and all of that.
Yes.
So now, but what role does community leaders, like we have the traditional rulers, religious leaders, that's both the church and the mosque, local groups play? What roles do they play in information dissemination?
Thank you very much. Now, it's not just information. Information dissemination. One thing they do is that.
They also create awareness too?
Yes.
Okay.
They do that most of the time. Let's go to basics, because I like using local, because we are in the field.
Yeah.
Now, we normally include one. Community engagement, because that whenever the circuit themselves engage other stakeholders within the community. Now, information can be disseminated. The local town crier, the gong, or the community bell to spread information. Some community that use their voice, they don't have.
Really?
They don't have bell. Let's example. The community I don't want to mention here. It's not in Kaduna, although it's not in Kaduna.
Okay.
Now, this is that it's not flood. Whenever they see
danger
and men coming or danger approaching, they use their voice, and the sound they make is like of a car. Person, anybody that hear it will be saying that G. Let's say it's just only me now. In my 50 people are saying G. How be?
Yeah, because it's going to echo.
It's going to echo. Now, next person, next door will be doing the same thing. And by the time those people get it is already empty. And it has been working for them 100%.
Wow.
So, because they have a system. That is why I'm talking about the structure. Okay. Now, because they have this structure, they know what they have, they know their strength and their weaknesses. Probably they have the gong. It's easy before information will get to someone that will go and ring the gong. Life must have been taken. But if someone hear it, and then the next person will just be echoing it, that is how it will be going until life saved.
Okay. Go ahead.
The community stakeholders, apart from identifying or spreading information, the other thing they also help us in doing is identifying the various risks and hazard location in that community.
Okay.
Now, if they help us to identify hazard in those community, to plan on the best way to mitigate those hazards. Another thing they also help us to do is that they help us in hazard mitigation, which I have just mentioned. They who to engage in a particular aspect. They know who is good when it comes to handwork activity. They know who is good to information. That is just disseminate information, and they put to contact to live with people outside the community. So you see, they normally do a lot with their networking system at their community level.
Then what about our religious institutions now? The church
The
and
mosque,
the mosque.
yes.
So how do they also play a role?
Community system.
Okay.
So the structure you have there, you have the Seriki, there is the village head, the community what do you call these people? Apart from community-based organization like the community level, they have religious leaders also. Now, by the time Sarki said, please help us to disseminate social information, flood is coming of the 9 so their churches to disseminate this information through their loudspeaker. Why do the same thing? You see, that's what community structure. If you have a good structure, both from family, community, zona, as long as and so on, then it will make our work very, very easy.
All right, you can be part of the program by calling the studio lines if you need clarification or you have questions that you want to ask as regards the communication in times of flooding. 081 40,000 989, 070 800 989. We are looking at the suitable and the best ways to of communication in times of flood. And my guest this afternoon is SURAJ SUFIYAN Ahmed. He is a disaster management officer with the Nigerian Red Cross Kaduna State Branch. We're streaming live on Facebook on Invicta FM 98.9, so just go there, drop your comments on the comment section, and we would have this conversation. It's very important that we talk about these things so that you check your community if you have these structures that he has mentioned and how effective has it been. And if it's not effective, you can call in and ask what you can do to also have a structure that works for you in terms of communications. Okay, so and we talked about sometimes we know that most of the time misinformation creates panic.
Yes.
All right, so that has been established. Now let's look at inclusivity and accessibility. Now, how can communication strategies reach the vulnerable groups such as elderly people, children, and also persons living with disabilities? Because I know the elderly persons, you might have one that is elderly, can't walk, or maybe has hearing impairment or visual impairment, and children who really don't really understand that, okay, when they see so much water, it's not the one for playing. You know, children love to play under the rain.
Yes.
So how can communication strategies, now what kind of strategies can be used to reach this set of people?
Thank you very much. Now, for Kaduna State, we have what is known as Community Information Committee. Okay. Now, this Community Information Committee, their own is just to see and get information and then pass it forward to the Seriki. Now, the Seriki, the community structure, they have the CDMP. The CDMP, which is the Community Disaster Mitigation Platform. Now, this platform, you have all these various stakeholders like the CBOs, GI, you have community people, among others. Now, what we do is that during planning, they identify, okay, the location of people who have people with special needs. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Like people that are deaf, dumb, deaf, among others. Even people that have certain illnesses in their body. Now, when flood disaster, that is the CDMP. CDMP pass this information to CDMP and the Seriki, because the Seriki also works hand in hand with CDMP. Now, the CDMP, what they normally do is that they will now disseminate this information to the community. Disaster. Now, they have already bring out strategies that Mr. A and C. Anytime there is a disaster, you are in charge of so person that is crippled. You are in charge of so person that have that is dead, and you are in charge of so group of persons that are ill, and among them also a particular household to those individuals. So anytime information get to them, they know how to get to those people that are dumb and deaf, among others. There are people with disability. Now, in addition to that, prior disaster, or maybe there is an information dissemination method that we use in disseminating this information, beside the mobile phone and the rest. We also use IEC material, that is information and educative communication materials, like pictures that shows, like if you go to some part in Kaduna State, you see showing steps that you need to take whenever there is an early warning system, or whenever you see the water is rising, things that you need to see. There's not much writing, but the picture speaks volume. So things like that in community, people will even start planning for themselves.
Okay.
Now that's the community level. So with that, we're able to reach those people that are physically that are people with living with disability.
Now, use of language, local language in flood communication. Now, how important is the use of local language? Not everybody may understand English, or even the pidgin English, which is even the most common. But local languages in communities where are prone with floods, how important is the use of the local language?
Honestly, you see, if you're talking about gap in communication, language is one of the major gaps. So the importance now, that is the reason why anytime this type of community are being set up, including they are trained in their local dialect. We don't use English. We use the Hausa or their own language, a language that they will easily understand. Sometimes we even use broken English, just to make sure that they actually get what we are looking for. So the local language is very, very important. In communities, there are communities where you have majority Hausa, and you also have Hausa at all. So that doesn't mean that you should not also use the Gwagi to also pass information down. You should have a set of people among the CDMP, or set if you don't have CDMP, that should. So as you are ringing the gong or whatever method you are using, use the language. If they have 5 languages, please
use
all of the languages.
So what you're trying to say is that you've underlined the fact that local language is very important. Okay.
In fact, extremely.
Okay, so now when we talk about technology, we talked about social media and its usage. Now let's go to coordination and policy, because time is not our friend. But you can still be part of the program and the conversation. I missed a call earlier. 081 40099 070 87 800 989. It will be proper that you call and let's have a conversation so that we understand how to build a communication structure whereby we can alert ourselves in our communities on how to use certain or make use of that structure when we're passing information. But now we're going to government now. So how can the government or the various government agencies and the media organizations now better coordinate communication efforts?
Good. First of all, everybody has to understand their rules and regulations. They have to understand their own mandate. When communication, everybody must have must know their roles to play. You see, even in communication will not work without structure. That was like the first thing I tried to analyze the area of that structure. We have the CIC, CDMP, we have the LEMC, which is the Local Emergency Management Committee. Now, this Emergency Management Committee, they work at the local level. So any information that has to be disseminated within the local, along the local government, that is their own mandate. They disseminate information using various media. Now, communication, the effectiveness works with its context. Community that worked with them, and I've just mentioned the use of even voice. Do you get it? in that was for them. Some community, they use the gong. Now, as you are as the information gets to the local government, definitely now come into play. And this media has to do with what? The platform, creation of various platforms. Now, this platform, you have, like I talked about, the state emergency, strategic and tactical team platform. We have that platform where we communicate, disseminate information, vital information. We also plan where all necessary thing that needs to be done is done. In fact, simulation exercise, some of our simulation exercise, we plan them at those level before coming down to the community level, both physically and non-physical. Now, the radio, TV station, anytime they get this information, what they help us to do is, one, help us to verify false and genuine information. If it help us to do that, it will go a long way in making our work easy. Then secondly, help us to disseminate facts. And thirdly, if there are channels of communication that people are not aware of at the community level, even at the farmland, they can use their phone or use their small radio to listen to. They help us to tell them, deliver certain valuable information like climate change related issues, flood prediction, among others. So this is ways that the media can come in. Now, the government also can come in what? Ensuring that is as effective as possible, and everybody knows their roles and regulations. So there will be no duplication of effort, because the policy, if you look at the policy, it categorically stated the mandate of every organization, from the national, from international, national, state, and local government down to community level. Now, this policy, if they can help in what further disseminate it, even at the radio session, like what we are doing here now. It will help the community to understand, okay, well, so whenever there is to communicate to.
Yes. Okay. Now, do you think that there should be a standard communication system for flood alerts, not just in Kaduna, but across the country?
Yes, it's not just for flood. Let's say emergency alert. There should be a standard.
So, like something that can be duplicated in every state.
In every state.
Not that, okay, these have their own pattern.
Yes.
It should be a standard uniform pattern.
Uniform pattern. And it's not just, it should not be disseminated for all. It should be every incident. In Nigeria, we are known with flood. There are rainstorms. Some countries have disaster like landslides. Though we also have landslide in Nigeria. We are talking about earthquakes, tsunami, among others. They have a centralized there is an emergency information communication system. Information that comes through them, they can easily channel it to the right set of team to respond to that particular incident.
All right, well, calls are not coming in, but some message on live stream. Emmanuel Chori, okay, says good afternoon, good job watching us all the way from the nation's capital in Abuja. And Suraj, what is your key message to the communities about responding to flood warnings and information?
Thank you very much. Now, my key one is this: everybody should make information their own responsibility. They should not ignore it. What am I saying here? Any information that you perceive, find out the fact and then pass it on. When you are able to identify, okay, this message, information is genuine, they should be able to pass it on. Second, every community to try and look response system. Like this include first aid, disaster response, among others. Because this is ordinary knowledge. Community can always stand up and say, okay, let's find a hazard. If you get that hazard at there will be no disaster. But if you choose to get the hazard, what are we talking about? When we say hazard, we are talking about things that natural phenomena in our environment that can become disaster, like throwing of waste illicitly. Okay, and you choose to ignore When flood or whenever there is rain, if is blocked, then the water will go back into the community, causing flash flood. So, with your community and what that, then there will be no problem when it comes to what incidents.
All right, Suraj Sufyan Ahmed, Disaster Management Officer with the Nigerian Red Cross Kaduna State Branch. Thank you so much for your time and the detailed examination of what we're talking about, information, and that every state should have a standardized structure of information. So it is said that effective communication is not just about sending messages, it's about ensuring that the message is received properly, is understood, and it is acted upon.
Yeah.
So when the right information reaches the right people at the right time, lives can be saved and the damage can just be reduced. So thank you for listening to the program Flood Echoes on Invicta 98.9, brought to you by Christian Aid Nigeria alongside UNICEF and ECHO. My name is Job Daniel, and as I always say, stay informed, stay alert, and always stay safe. Do have a beautiful afternoon.